karigu ngoli ngurno ngalamanyang naya ngamringa darolanga ye. Our people came out of colonization era still speaking language fluently, still practicing the old ceremonies, still marrying the old way. It wasn't until protectionism that really dismantled that.
I remember my grandmother talking her language in a cupboard, and I had to put my munga up against the door to listen, And this is, I believe, our language now is a part of that healing. And as we heal, I think country will heal with us.
Yeah, we don't own it, it owns us. You know what I mean? Like, language owns us.
Language, you don't have to say language to Aunt, I'm going,
yeah,
who are you? Where are you from?
Yeah.
Well, that's the whole way of being, that we don't even need to use language. Language is just a part of us.
Yama everyone, and welcome to Language Yarns around the table. So great to see everybody here, being brought together by who we're connected to and where we're connected from. It's a real honour for me to sit amongst you language heroes. My name is Nardi Simpson and I'm a Yuwalare Whittingar from the northwest New South Wales freshwater floodplains. And I'm the host for this language yarn, and today I'm joined by some very special language mob from right across New South Wales. We're here to celebrate Languages Week and to highlight the important work that communities all across our state are doing to keep languages alive and strong. Troy Robinson is a Gumbaynggirr man teaching language and culture in the Gumbaynggirr Bilingual School. Rhonda Ashby is a Yuwalare woman and a language elder and beautiful teacher. Drew Longbottom is a Gumia Dharawal man revitalising language and culture on the south coast. And Ebony Joachim is a Yorta Yorta woman in that big town down there, Shepparton, big city town, and a language teacher trainer. And Ray Ingrey is Dharawal and Dungutty man and chair of the Gujaga Foundation. All these deadly people around this table. So we're going to kick off. What I want to do actually is put a couple of words together and then chuck it onto the table and watch you build it, if that's okay. But before we do that, I'd love you to tell us who you are and where you're from in your own way, in the way that language works for you. And because I'm looking at you, Rhonda, and because we're connected, I'm sorry, I'm going to throw it to you first.
Rhonda Ashby, I'm a Gamilaroi Yuwalare Wirringa. We're freshwater mob, grassland people. And I've been on this language journey for quite some time.
Beautiful, thank you. Who's next?
Ginagang Jaron, Yanan Vija Troy Robinson, Yam Gumbangara, Yam Dankati Yang Panjalang, Neger. Daron Unjalan Agago, good to see you. Yeah, my name's Troy, I'm a Gumbanga man, and I'm also Dungutty and Banjalang. And I think our journey started, at a very young age, and listening to your parents talk a little bit of language here, there, and everywhere. But I think in the last 10 to 15 years has been my journey where language has been the forefront of sort of who I am and where I'm from. So we got some really, really great things happening in community. So trying to get that out to the community, and especially to our Jonobian, which is our young people, and teach them about language. And so roughly about 10 to 15 years we've been really strong at it. So
Deadly, thank you, Ra.
With the pang Nagambi, ngaya Drew, ngaya Jerinja, Wandrondian Guya Gadong Marion. So I'm a follower. I was raised on a community called Jerinja, which is about 30 kilometres east of Nara. And my mob's just pretty much my kinship extensions go from La Perouse to the Victorian border or thereabouts, Walliga Lake. But my mob is all up around the Shalhaven, so I'm a Jerinja follower. Raised on that community, and just revitalising the Dharawal language in my area.
Beautiful.
That's me.
I'm Ebony Joachim. I'm a Yori Ora Winya from Shepparton, Yori Ora woman. Yori Ora covers both sides, or goes over both sides of the borders, New South Wales and Victoria. So, got a bit of an area to cover, like most of us. Just trying to do what I can to help revitalise the language down there. And I've also spent a bit of time helping other mobs around the country in their revitalisation efforts.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Nagambi, Nagang Ray. Gamangul ba Garango Ngaya. My name's Ray. I belong to Coastal Sydney and Botany Bay. My community is a Lapras Aboriginal community, Darul and Dungati person, and we've been revitalising the Northern Darul for about 20 odd years now in my community, so I've lasted this long.
Beautiful. Thank you. And how wonderful, everybody's deadly here. But when I hear you talk, I think about the wave of deadliness that comes with you when you come into a room, and the people and the places that are feeding your work. Get a real sense in language that there's a whole mob standing behind you. I'm going to throw the word lingo, language, in the middle of the table, and then I'm going to throw the word old people. Sitting together, side by side, looking, talking to each other. What comes into your mind and your spirit, or your heart, or your hands, or your ears, when language and old people are together?
Story, experience. What will come into my mind? Everything. Like, language interprets everything. Without language, there is no interpretation of country, of experiences, and there's no identity or expression of who you are. Language is pretty much everything that weaves a big web, and without language, there is no understanding verbally, or no artistic expression verbally of anything. So, when our old mob sat around and they yarned, they were passing. They were just talking experiences and knowledge, and also there's not such a small answer, Like, there's so much. I could have a little thing to say, but there's so much things that come into my mind with language, and
we say Gumbengadari, we say, which is exactly like my Gogo, my brother, is saying here, that language is everything, and that teachings from them old people, their teachings is for them next generations, them 7 generations away. We talk about that, everything in 7. But when I think of our elders, our old people, Jalambo, Gumbengadagirawa, we say, that I think about their stories, their knowledge that they've passed down to us, and that whole essence of life that they lived in. We're sitting in a circle here. It's funny we're sitting in a circle because, that whole circle and synergy of life that prior to, westernised ways, that they sat in these areas where all these language groups can be all passed on. And when I think of old people, I think of my beautiful great-great-grandmother, Florence Balangari, where she spoke 7 languages and, lived to 113, and grandfather Waddy, Lambert Waddy, he was a medicine man. He spoke them languages too. So they sat like this on a daily basis, learning that strong ways. So.
And then when you said those words, them old people and language, like tears welded up in my eyes, and not of sadness, but of it was coming from strength. And the teachings of them old people passing on from our ancestors, our Murrin and our Wayne, our elders, and those teachings from countries, our language flowing through the waterways, feeling the language through our wings and feeling that language on country. And those stories, like we have language in our schools today, where some of our old people don't have access to schools. So our school, in a sense of our old people's teaching, was country, and that's where our curriculum lied, within country. So when I hear them words of old people, I think of all those natural elements out in country and those beautiful teachings and nurturing of them old people and the generations of teachings from being handed down, passing down, and stories. Yeah.
Can you separate language from country?
No.
No. They go together.
Yeah.
They can't be separated.
Language comes from country.
It's a reflection of one another.
Yeah, exactly.
There needs to be interpretation.
Yeah.
So what's country if you can't interpret what it is, or if it doesn't have a sound or an essence?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So our old people spoke gesturally, but then the beauty of language is tone, and things respond to that. Yeah.
It's like when you're playing a yidiki, you could put language. The Yolngu people reckon you could put your language through that didgeridoo, through that yidiki, that you're always learning. There could always be something new. If you ever think you're the Jedi, I guess, of the yidiki, yeah, you're not, because there's always learning on country. There's always learning. It's like these three-legged stools we've got here. We've got language being the forefront of our whole being, and then you've got the people, the ancestors that bring that language, and then you've got country. So it's that whole essence of cultural life that we live on.
It's one. It's like a mother and father with a child. You can't have a child without a mother and a father. So that's how this language and culture is. It's embedded into us. It's embedded into country. So you can't have one without the other.
It's and when you think of song and stuff like that, there's frequency. Frequency gives power and energy to something. When you go to sacred places and you can see they followers always build their towers on our sacred mountains, where frequency is strong there. That's why they got them towers there, to emit such energy so we can get internet and so on and so forth.
It's the frequency of country.
When you speak in English, it's not interpreting it's not interpreting the experiences of our people in this country. It's not interpreting the reason why a place is called something in our language. You know what I'm saying? So when we speak our language and we use that tone in which it's spoken in, it opens up that connection and the importance of that country, and the importance of us in connection with that country. And it's just that expression through word, yeah, and sound.
And so you brought that word in, English, and if I chuck language and truth, or language and English, or language and silence, what would your reaction be to that little group of words on the table now? What are they saying? Language and English, or language and truth?
Well, if you look at English, if you look at English, what does it interpret? It doesn't have a direct interpretation of any country. You go to a shop and you ask for a croissant. It's a croissant. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, but English doesn't have a direct interpretation of anywhere. It's broken up between Spanish and German and Greek and French. You see what I'm saying? So.
But even our language as well, like all the languages that we put to country, we've got Karengi, for instance, which is just out from Coffs Harbour. We say Garangi because they only hear Karengi. you know, but we speak from the back of the tongue, just like all our kids and all our mobs speak from different, you know, viewpoints, points of our mouth. So, arangi, we are, so it's like a G, you know, which means crazy anyway, so you can imagine, oh, fella's back, and then this fella's karangi. Yes, that's right, karangi, let's call it karangi, you know, so not having that roller tongue. So looking at language with, you know, how our people are today, our kids are still growing up with talking from the back of the tongue and talking from here. And then we've got to apparently take them to speech therapists. No, you let them find their own tongue. You know, teach them that language so that they will eventually have that old way of that tongue, you know. They'll be able to pronounce it that way. Not bring that, oh, you've got to speak from the top of your tongue and then come in this way. So allowing our people to do it culturally in their own aspects and own ways that they can do it. So, so that's sort of how I interpret it as well.
And word, like in the English dictionary, a word's a word, but a word in our languages is much deeper. You know, a word could mean a sentence, it could mean a story, like it's got so much interpretation to it than just a word. Like it's much stronger.
And so much knowledge that comes with just one word, like so much cultural knowledge. You know, you don't need a string of sentences to get across, the cultural knowledge that comes with that word.
I think we look at what words, you know, like our people would have said, be quiet to our kids, you know, hey, be quiet now. You know, so what we say to our children is, apura now. It's like, listen. So we interpret our words in different ways, respectfully. We don't just, we don't have to find them words to say, you need to be quiet now, or you need to do this. It's just like, hey, you're alarming, come, you know, come all the way over here to do this, you know. So the words that we use are, you know, and they're not even in the English dictionary. We didn't have shame because our people.
We didn't have swear words.
Yeah, apparently so.
Yeah. And you know, we'd all have these words in our languages. Like in our language, we have that word winana, which mean 5 things. You know, it means knowledge, it means remember, it means understanding, it means love, it means think. So when you think about that word, like that was our foundation of our way of learning. You know, like we learn with that knowledge, we remember that learning, we understand that learning. You know? We love that learning, we love ourselves, we love our country, our people, and we think about that.
Just on those 2 words, my mind goes back to the policies and practice that dismantled this. You know, dismantled our way of life, our culture. Here in Sydney, people say, oh, colonisation devastated. Our people came out of colonisation era still speaking language fluently, still practicing the old ceremonies, still marrying the old way. It wasn't until protectionism that really dismantled that. And we wouldn't be sitting at the table if it wasn't for the efforts of the government to dismantle our way of life and try and put us into one single white Australian community. And our efforts today is due to that. And so when we, you know, put those 2 words on the table, we've got to think of our old people. Even my orders today talk about learning language at home, and police knocking on the door and threaten mum and dad that they'll lock them up if they continue to teach their kids Darrell. Our people feel like they've got a black hole in them. You know, they say, our elders today say, oh, I've got a black hole in me from what government done to us. Because they stripped it away as part of that long-term strategy. So sometimes those 2 words can turn to anger and frustration as well. And all the hard work we do for very little, you know, we wouldn't have had to do that. I remember on my Dangati side, my dad's uncles and aunties and that talking Dangati fluently, you know. You know, and to hear that, but then on my Lapa side not get that, you know. It's yeah, it's a bit of a hard pill to swallow when we're out here doing all this hard work and, you know, people say, oh, just get over it, you know, or just move on. Nah, you know, that's not the way it should be.
And I truly believe this is a part of our healing, you know, this language coming back. It's been asleep, we're waking it up. We're, you know, getting back out on country, and I think that's the biggest part of our healing, is getting back with our cultural practices, our languages. Like, and our people, all our people were moved around. You know, my old grandmother on my father's side come from down your way, you know, down South Coast, and taken up to a little community up in Brewarrina, you know, northwest New South Wales. Like, they've been, you know, our old people have been moved from one side of the country to the other in those government policy days. You know, I remember my grandmother talking her language in a cupboard, like, and remember my old aunties, you know, speaking it secretly in a room, you know, and I had to put my munga up against the door to listen, you know, and you know, this is, I believe, our language now is a part of that healing, and as we heal, I think country will heal with us if they give us country back, you know, if we can get a bit of country back. But our spirit will always be connected to country, always. That's something they can't take away from us.
You know, as long as we speak our language, we're talking the country.
Yeah.
Yeah, the animals, they know their names.
Yeah.
It's still embedded in their DNA, in their being and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah,
The birds tell you their name.
Yeah, they do. They do. Yeah.
We didn't name them arrogantly.
No.
Oh, fella, what's your name?
Yeah.
You know, Kugara.
Yeah.
You know, and so on and so forth. So most of them birds, they name themselves.
Yeah.
They tell you their name. They speak to you.
Yeah. With that as well, Gugu, brother, you know, with back home as well, we had a lot of our elders, even though all that happened to them, they still knew the importance of language. So what they did, they all, you know, come together. They put all their pensions together and hired somebody back in the, I think I'm pretty sure it was the 30s, and hired somebody to take all that language down and record it. You know, they're still thinking after all this time, everything that happened to them, that the importance of language, and, you know, Gumbaynggirr country and Ngungati and Bundjalung, because I know a lot of, you know, the families from surrounding areas were all a part of that as well. So, you know, but when we look at it now, and what I say to the kids, or what I say to all the community, and that now that we're learning, our elders feel that shame. You know, we got to break that hole that you're speaking about here. We got to bring that, you know, into a nice cleansing sort of love heart sort of, you know, the heart sort of style. And the way we do that now, the way that we are honestly teaching, it's like flipped now, isn't it? Yeah. It is, isn't it? You know, like our young people are now, you know, coming down and teaching our elders. And there's not many left, unfortunately. But, you know, if we teach them that little bit, and we brought an auntie in, and it's still there, like heavily in there. She goes, oh, I connected to this word because of bird. I knew that word for bird, and, you know, so it's still there within them. It's like our blood, how our blood flows through our veins. You know, it's still there.
I think that's some of the challenges going to be for us moving forward. Is when we first started in Lapa, we had senior women mainly, because they were so staunch, you know, going, no, this is what we need to do, you know, and we had other younger generation under them going, no, that why would you teach the kids that garbage? They were still in that condition that from the mission days. And so we sort of said, oh, well, we'll leave you to the side and we'll concentrate on the young one. But now they're the ones that have gone up, and it is in a tricky situation where, you know, we have elders attend some of the stuff and then don't come back because they feel shame. We can only put it down to they feel shame because you've got the younger generation knowing more than they. That's not their fault, but there's extra sensitivities that we've got to approach. And a lot of it, unfortunately, a lot of our mob, we already do things on an oily rag as it is, you know, and we're not built to help uncondition that older generation as well. So that is probably an increasing issue in our communities and something we need to think about. Because like you said, they should be teaching us. And we feel a bit, because you get yourself in an awkward situation.
I struggle with that a lot as a young person. Like, not kind of knowing my place, but also not overstepping, because the elders have so much knowledge, like cultural-wise, but a lot of them don't have language, but there are a few that do. So trying to navigate all of that as a young person can be a bit tricky. Yeah,
it does. And you see that, you know, that hurt in them, but then you see that joy when they learn this new word and hold on to that word.
Yeah, and the last thing I'd want to do is disrespect anyone, you know, but I want to create a safe space for everyone to be able to learn language.
And we have to remember too, like the institutions, like really affect our people, like especially some of our old people. But if you get them out on country, some of them old people run, you know. And it prompts their memories too around stories and language. But we have to remember the institutions like that affected our old people, and just be respectful there with them.
You were saying before with the healing, like it is a healing process, and a lot of stuff comes up for elders and even people, you know, below that, of all generations. There's things coming up that they're not even really aware of as well, and they're holding in because of, you know, family history and stuff like that. So you kind of got to navigate through that as well in a respectful way.
And I think, sorry, this will be my last one, so I promise. But that whole way that our old people used to give, always giving, but not taking. You know, our people didn't take and take and take. They received it, and it was that whole like what goes around comes around. We got two words: ngora, ngorai, ngora, ngorai. So we're giving and we're receiving, but how they used to do it, now we have to do that to them, and allow them to take that process that we're helping them. You know. That whole what goes around comes around. That you're given good, and then good's going to come back around to you. So.
And one of the biggest lessons I had from an elder, and this will be my last on this topic, was never disrespect the language, never mock it, never make fun of it, never have ego with it, never have greed with it. Respect it.
Yeah, we don't own it, it owns us. You know what I mean? Like language owns us. We belong to language. Because,
Listening to you all and thinking about how gentle language is, it can also be very, you know, staunch and forceful, but it's gentle and soft in a way that it can allow people, no matter where they're at in their language journey, space.
Yep.
I often think about that, and of course it depends on how you share that, how you can make space for everybody's different journey within language. So if I chuck two more words on the table.
Don't chuck any money on it.
I won't be doing that. If I chuck lingo and language. Lingo and bingo, right? No. Language and learning together as practitioners. Where does your mind and your spirit go to with those two words on the table, language and learning? Tell me something about those two together.
It's mindful. It's mind blowing.
Yeah.
It could be stressful because you know it sends your mind into this other part of your thinking. You'll be sitting there and you say, "Hey, where'd I get that word from?" Ah, that's right. I learnt that the other day. It means this. So it somehow just connects into your whole way of being. Yeah, what can I use that word for today? And my daughter, for instance, she I was watching a movie and I can hear someone talking, and she was talking language in her sleep. And I was just like, holy, only saying kangaroo jumping, you know, like a running or something. And I was just like, holy geez, you know, like listening to somebody speak language, you know, is in their sleep. Yeah. So to me, it can, and the process when we do language, it's just holy. You feel it, the pressure's on you. But in the end, it's repetitive. We say it repetitive all the time so that it sinks in and it's there. It's there for good. You know, I think Uncle Miklo Jarrett was one of the old fellas that said, you know what I do? I open that Gumbaynggirr dictionary and I learn one word every day. And I use that word. And I think the first word is around Baba, father. You know, we don't do A's and just B. So we learned that, I know Dad, you know, so he'll go out and utilise Dad every day, you know, Baba. So every day he's learning that word. So I don't know where he's up to now. He's probably stopped now. But that was a good way of thinking too, that we're learning that word. Yeah, so that's what it means. Yeah.
And your daughter dreaming in language?
Mate,
not just speaking it.
Not speaking it, she's dreaming it. Yeah. So.
That's bad. That's becoming a part of her mindset. You know, her absent mindset.
Yeah, that's
you know
right.
what I mean? So, yeah, that's what it's all about.
I think for me, growing up as an English speaker and only having, you know, words here and there, it was, learning language in my early 20s. That's when I started. I'm in my mid-30s now, but it changes your mindset. It just shifts everything. You have to retrain your mouth for the sounds that our languages hold. Like, there's so much that comes with it. Like, your train of thought just goes automatically to country, and then the cultural knowledge comes along with it, and then you sit with elders and get the stories behind particular things, and you're like, oh my God, that, you know, and you're gelling it up with the language, and you're just like, you just kind of get immersed in your mob, your country, you know, what's on country.
You can start to sort of interpret your country and what it might have been before, what specific places had purpose for. So you know where you got farmlands east of Narra now. Them fellas are named particular places because they were huge swamp areas that flourished with particular plants in them areas. And then, so once you sort of consistently learn a language, I grew up with base words, and my great-grandmother, her grandmother was a fluent speaker, and she introduced me to language, passing, you know, just giving me base words, and then she gave me this book that her grandmother had written, and her mother had written some words and things like that, and she sort of taught me how to pronounce them, but I didn't have an overly understanding of language in my area, and then just practicing it every day with the brothers. We got together and we just consistently practice it, and you just learn more and more every day. And the more we practice and the more we share, the more we learn. But then going through that learning process, learning what the place names meant, or just understanding how to interpret country, and things just pop up and you're just like, wow, you know what I mean? And then you look at country and what it looks like now.
Just total different lens, eh?
Wow, you know what I mean? That wasn't farmland before, that was blah, blah, blah. And that, they were fishing, they were fishing over there. That's a dry creek bed now, you know what I mean? And so on and so forth. But you really get a sort of understanding of what your country looked like, and what the purposes of areas were. And,
I was wondering why we were big bread eaters back home, you know? Like, always having bread with anything, you know? I started working with some of our native grains, and then I was putting the language to some of the grasses, and one of the grasses, Mitchell grass, named after one of the explorers, Thomas Mitchell. I was putting the language to Mitchell grass, and gunnalay is the word for that type of grass. And when you break that word up, gunna is a word for liver. So that grain, when you're making the bread, the nutritional properties within that grain was good for our liver, you know. So our diets. So we've got to get back to country with language, with our cultural practice, for us to heal and for country to heal. You know, just that one word just opened my mind up like, whoa.
That's what I love about our languages. They just, blow your mind.
But no need for like sticker explanations of what ingredients they got in there. Hey, this is good for your liver. You know what I mean?
We know that through language, like, yeah.
The fact that they know that, like, you know what I mean? See, everything, science, everything. And language, language just sews it all up.
With the language and that togetherness, when first started getting into the space, particularly around, I'm one of a triplet, so we sort of, from a young age, we was told about community and, you know, staying, you know, helping the communities, like be that selflessness. But when I started getting in the language space, my grandmother sat me down and said, now listen, not I and me, it's us and we. And so from that point onwards, you know, I struggle to go, I'm this and I'm that, because that's not how we were taught. And so when it comes to language and togetherness, it's us and we. Even though I might be driving it or, you know, bossing people around or whatever may happen in my community, it's all about us and we. And that ultimately is what we're here for. You know, everyone around this table, not just languages, but to better their own community. It's not about us as individuals. It's about that collectiveness.
That's right. And we're all connected, like, whether it's through our languages, whether it's through our stories, whether it's through our song lines, like, we are all connected.
And I guess we can use you and your deadly brothers here, you know? Like,
I'm the younger fitter looking.
Yeah, most handsome. I understand. I grew up with a brother there, you know, always coming down to Sydney and seeing him through footy and that, but I guess we can use that as an example, that your whole way of being with your two brothers, you know, like how you think, they think, you know, how you look at things, you know. I heard stories about with twins that if you get hit in the arm, he feels it. You know, it's like how we want our kids to feel, you know, in our school, that if you're doing something for the rest of everybody else. It's not just you. We are together. We say Girawa for mob, but Girawa means mob coming together. You know, that your whole way of being, that language, you don't have to say language to hunt. I'm going,
exactly.
Where are you from? Yeah. Or, you know, oh, hey, my auntie, you know, good to see you. You know, we don't even have to use language. Body language, we do everything. And you'd have been like that with your brothers. What'd you say? I said, nothing, I'm standing here. Going, lifting, you know. Nah, but, you know, that's the whole way of being, that we don't even need to use language. Language is just a part of us.
And it comes in layers. Language come in layers. Like, you know, we have our language as people. We have our language for our children. We have our language for our women. We have our language for our men. We have our ceremonial language. Like, so you've got all these different layers. And so we have all these layers of language, which you know, which is there to guide us, I guess, and make us all as one as well, you know. So we have a language there for all of us, and then we have all those different layers of language that protect us as well.
But our culture was put down from the get-go, you know. First fleet arrives, and within weeks of not even engaging with us properly, we were stupid, savages, Indians. We didn't demonstrate the same technology, scientific advancements as Europeans had. So we were primitive, we were seen from there. But just in the power of language, we've got, you know, all those options. But, you know, mob in Bellbrook our elders would say if a child's sick, this is what you would say and this is what you would do. And seen it firsthand at work. But white people look at it and go, oh, black magic. Because it's outside their minds are so closed.
And they're run by fear.
They can't rationalise how we thought.
You got to take a couple of tablets or, you know what I mean? Whatever.
Locked up.
Yeah, you know, go to the, you know, whatever it may be. But, you know, like, and that's that bush medicines and that, it's all that, you know, that's language is key because it's, it opens all that. You know, it opens all that to that openness that our people have been looking for decades now. Yeah, and that's the beauty of it. It has so much more effect, not just about, you know, getting dances and, you know, realising that when every time we paint up, you know, we're facilitating that spiritual synergy with our country. You know, we're singing to those spirit ancestors, you know.
We're getting our body right for that too, you know.
Well, our minds, our heart, our, you know, body right through language, you know. We're connecting to our ancestors. You know, the power of language is, you know, our old people wish I had a time machine. You know what I mean? Because just hearing the stories of how our old people lived, you know, how healthy they were, how fit they were, you know, it's a shame what our old people went through to have that all taken away. But hopefully the brother was saying about his daughter dreaming language, you know. You know, someone asked me a couple of years ago, how do you relate language and decolonisation? I thought, and not long before that, I was coming from the North Coast with the family, and my daughter looked out, she was only 3 or 4, and she looked out the window. She said, Dad, what's that other word for brew? And kangaroo out on the side. I'm thinking, oh, well, it'll be burrows. You know, daughter, burrow. No, that other word. I'm thinking. I went, kangaroo, and she went, yeah, that one. Straight away, Darrell was her first word. English was, I don't know nothing about it, you know, like, I thought, yeah, no, that's kangaroo, but that's a good Yimiti word, and that's gungaroo, but white fellas brought that in, you know? And she went, oh, yeah, that, you know, and then went back to Buru. You know, so, like, that's the best thing about language is our kids are in a far better position now. And that's probably the, you know, no money can no life, no time, no years on your life can you know, better that feeling that our young kids are growing up stronger in their culture than what we were.
And government can never compensate for that. Right.
They have a role to play.
They have a responsibility.
They dismantled it, like there's no tomorrow. But they can never take it away because it's ours.
Yeah, well, let's like feed that idea. So what is the dream? As language practitioners, describe your language community, where you're from, at its most, in its biggest song, I think in sound. At its most majestic song, what does your language look like in your communities?
A dream for my community, I want to see our language not being institutionalised. I want to see mob out on country, healing with country healing, doing our cultural practices. You know, there's and it'd be with a lot of mob around the table here. You know, some of the, you know, we've got some high rates of incarceration, mental health. You know, we're all affected by mental health in our communities. Even some of our other health issues like, you know, diabetes and heart disease. So just to name a few things there, I want to build, not just myself, but working with the mob, with language, but going out on country, finding our place out on country, our spirit, and feeling connected to country like our old people and our ancestors did for generations and generations. And so I'm working with a couple of communities back home around women's wellness. Women are the foundation in that family. We all have roles and responsibility as men and women. So I'm working with these women to build up their wellness around our plant knowledge, our stories of country, our native grains, to bring back some of our foods, our bush foods back into our daily lives, and to hear those stories and to have one another's back. There's a lot of lateral violence out there in our communities. We need to get back where we're supporting one another.
We have, so for my daughter, for example, she was really closed off a few years ago. When she was a bit younger, she was real quiet and had no confidence. But coming to cultural, things that we do, learning the language has given her a sense of understanding who she is, and given her a sense of pride as well. I mean, she's always been a proud Aboriginal person. Like I'm a proud Koori girl. I'm proud, and so on. But learning her language has really sort of helped her step up in the community. It's bridging, it's bringing all the younger mob together. So language is looking really good because the younger generation now are soaking it up, and they're becoming proud of what their identity is. They're becoming known to what their identity is, and they're all learning it together. So the fact that they're practicing it consistently together means that they're developing really well at it. And so the language is growing again, and it's just really bringing them together again. So I think we're headed to a really good place if we just keep striving to bring our language out. And we've pretty much been a part of that revival. Our generation's revived, we've sort of brought it back up in and going, oh well, we need to get this going again. We found that sense of pride. And the generation below us, now it's becoming a part of them, like Paula's daughter. She's dreaming it. My daughter and my niece, and they're all talking it as much as they can. And so even the non-Indigenous kids in there, I've had little kids say to me, I've had little preschool kids say, why can't I be Aboriginal? Because they're hearing language and stuff like that. So it's really strengthening the Koori kids growing together in our community, and they're almost up to what I'm at already. And so my aim for them is to be better than we are, and that's what it is. The next generation should be better than what we are at it, and that's what I want. So
I don't know, I think it's just a lot of things. Like there's a few people on country doing language and stuff, but I just love more to get involved, and then teach and learn together. Like we can all learn from one another, no matter what level of language knowledge you got. Like everyone's got something to offer, and I think people need to realise that when they first coming into that language space. Like you got something to offer, and if not, just pick up what you can, and then you'll find your place. Like there's always a place for everyone in language and culture. Like we just need to come together and do more around it. It's becoming more visible around home and stuff, so that's nice to see. But just we could always do more, but we're also in a good place too, I guess.
I think when I depart this place and go see my old people again, I want to have this place in a better position than I received it. So we're taught that our main cultural responsibility, no matter what you do, is when you leave this place, you leave it in a better position than you got it. And so we're in the right direction for my community. We got young people using a lot more language. You'll have kids walking from Lapa School down to the reserve, and once they split to go to their homes, they use Nandawapi, which is literally see you later, see you in the future. You know, that's heaps better than what we had, you know. So we're in the right direction, but yeah, it'd be good to get our kids to that fluency stage where they're able to communicate with each other. And we'll get there. We'll get there because we're in it for the long game. I'm not short wins. But yeah, when I leave here, that's what it should get at.
Yeah, I guess change is a word I'd like to use because just like Jinder was saying here, sister was saying that unfortunately we don't have many teachers, you know, like we've got roughly about, I think anywhere between 20 or 30, maybe 40, close to 40 actually, you know, pretty fluent, pretty prominent speakers, but I guess with community looking at what more we can have, you know, change. We've got to be willing to instigate and instill cultural change in our community, and that all starts back at home with our parents. You know, so Monday mornings we bring our parents in for our kids at the Gumbenga school. We bring them in. They have to come to. It's been told that they need to be there to learn this language. They've got to be a part of their children's education and culture. You know, it's Bulidi Mulia and Yungan. We stand for 2 paths strong. So that before we're born, we've already got that beautiful bloodline of this culture, your bloodline, this whole, you know, way of life that was prior to us. And obviously educationally, because they've got to walk these two paths in life. So Bulidi Mulia and Yungan stands for 2 paths strong. So they got to walk them, but be proud first and foremost. And if we're teaching our kids, you know, that will then, you know, it's like you threw that rock in the middle of that pond and just send bigger and bigger. That ripple effects, positive ripple effects. But you know, looking at our parents being involved, we're not quite there yet, you know. But the way we look at it is just like your glass here, Jinder, you know. Do we see it half full or do we see it half empty? You know, and how much more can we put in that to provide us with the nutrients, the life, the Gumbenga Dari of how much we want to put into our community and surrounding areas. So, you know, we look at it as a sense of, you know, continuing what we're doing, but we have to work what we work with, what we've got, and get bigger from there. So, so at the moment, it's like we're doing amazing, but we need more. We do need more. To create, you know, that cultural change.
I feel very honoured to sit at this table, and I just, for what it's worth, really want to thank you for your hard work and your dedication and your open-hearted spirits that you share with your communities and with people who you don't know, that are going to inspire them to bring country and healing and spirit and dreams and history and challenge into their understanding of who they are, where they're from and how they move forward in language. You fellas are amazing, and I just really want to give you all my love and thanks for the work that you do.
I just want to finish with a couple of words in our language. And I think we all should finish with because we started with a word. But this old girl used to say this all the time and remind us, you know, a lot of the time. Dui Niniku, language is our soul.
Mangadari is, you know, pretty much what we all just spoke about. Yeah. Our essence, our soul, our essence, our everything. Yeah.
I'm just going to share the word Yadinji. Yadinji is just appreciation of gift, like a giftful appreciation. So just to be able to sit around here and everyone is a champion, a leader, and we're a product of our ancestors' success. And we need to carry on that success, like the Papa says, make things better than they are for us. So yarangi to that, and yarangi for the ability to sit around and yarn and share, and yarangi sister. Kajiga. Yeah.
Nyala waka, waka ninin, nyanin. I am country, country is me.
Only because brother mentioned it just then before, but we got a word, ngalambe. And ngalambe is that ripples in the water that's made by a stone or fish jumping. Ngalambe. And we use that as a term to show the small work we're doing now is only going to grow and grow out. Ngalambe.
See the expression, but see the artistical expression in that word.
Yeah.
The ripple that's affecting. What is it about?
That's the ripple, the ripple that's made in the water, but that will start spreading.
There's this word I know in our language down home, right? This is the description. The place where you, this is how a white fellow would say it. The place you go and sit to escape the cold wind and get the morning rays of the sun to keep warm. We have a word called wunji wunji. That's what it describes.
I like it.
Neat. Well, we're going on the road, I think. This is deadly. Hey, oh, so wonderful to just sit in that space and thank you for everything you do. And, you know, you being you makes me strong. And I thank you so much for that. Thank you everyone for watching Language Yarns Around the Table. And we hope we know you got some insight from these incredible language heroes and the communities that they're from and working with and for to keep their languages strong. I want to say a huge thank you to all the special guests sitting around the table here, all the deadly guests. And your words, as I've said, have been amazing. And the gift of the way that you think and use language, I will actually never forget, so thank you.